set to start at 1 o'clock in downtown Dallas.
And the so-called mega march will draw immigration reform support and opposition. So what's the driving force behind both arguments? TXA 21's Chris Salcedo joins us now in the studio, and he's talking to the organizer of tomorrow's march and the man behind the counter protest. Chris?
All right, guys, thank you very much. Organizers of the mega march, they want to recreate that scene back in 2006 with the demonstration in the streets of Dallas. But this time, they're going to have some company. And this all comes on the heels of Arizona's tough crackdown on illegal immigrants. Domingo Garcia is one of the organizers of the mega march. And Chris Kroc of 570 KLIF, he is putting on a counter-protest. Gentlemen, I want to welcome you guys.
Thank you.
First, I want to talk about the march. Mr. Garcia, what is the message you want to send?
That we need immigration reform now. That we have families that are being torn apart. We have communities that are being torn apart. We're seeing what's happening in Arizona. And it's time that the federal government stepped up, did what its duties were, and do what Ronald Reagan did in 1986. That's pass comprehensive immigration reform, and let's do it now. We have too many children who are being impacted, who wake up every morning and don't know if their father or mother are going to come home. And we have parents that don't know if their children are going to come home because one's a citizen, one is not. And that's just, it's time that we live up to our America's values that are etched in the Statue of Liberty. Give me your poor huddled masses yearning to be free, and live up to our creed that's in the Bible that many of us as Christians believe in.
All right, Mr. Kroc, what message do you want to send with counter-protest this weekend?
Domingo's right. We have a problem. The 2006 State Comptroller's report from the state of Texas shows a net loss of $1 million from illegals in the state of Texas. We have 1.4 million illegals in this state. Actually, at Parkland Hospital, one hospital alone in Dallas, 31 illegal babies anchor babies are born every day, 11,200 anchor babies. That is $50 million a year in health care costs at one hospital. Illegals are bankrupting our nation. They're bankrupting our health care system. Every time you see a trailer outside of a school, you think illegal because they're filling up spaces in there. Our jails are 20 to 25% full in Maricopa County, Phoenix, and in Metro Atlanta, where I came from a couple years ago. It is a serious problem, and he's right about the Bible. It is, in fact, it is Romans 13, 1 through 7, which talks about obey the law of the land. God put those people in charge, and you must obey them, and if you don't, there's a wrath to face. It's clear. So religious aspects are very, very true in this, and you must obey the law, which says do not come here illegally.
All right, Mr. Kroc. Now, Mr. Garcia, now, that's a perfect segue talking about law and order here. And at the end of the day, we're talking about illegal immigration. We're talking about people breaking United States law. Doesn't your march encourage or even condone that illegal activity?
It's on the contrary. American employers, you know, the people who put the steaks on your table, who put the fruit on your table, have encouraged immigrants to come to this country to work. Many of them have been here for decades. Many of them have children that have been born here. And, you know, entering the country illegally is a misdemeanor. Okay? And what we're saying...
Are you condoning that activity, though?
No, of course not. We should have secure borders. We should have regulated borders where we have visas that are sufficient for the workforce that is needed. But for those that are already here, what we're saying is make them pay a fine. It's a misdemeanor. Make them pay a fine. Make them get in line and allow them to have the path to legalization if they have no criminal records and if they comply and learn English in this country.
All right.
So it's a process that they have to go through.
All right. The whole country is talking about Arizona's tough new law cracking down on illegal immigrants. And Mr. Kroc, if a Canadian is in Arizona illegally, under that new law, it isn't likely that Canadian illegal will be stopped. Doesn't the new law actually institutionalize racial profiling?
No, completely untrue. In fact, Arizona tweaked the law this afternoon, which you may not know. They took out two things. Number one, it explicitly says no racial or ethnic components whatsoever. It used to say
we're going to get that. We're going to get to that in a second.
Well, you just asked me a question though. So
just as the law exists today.
No,
we're going to get to
not.
the changes here in a minute. But as
it was changed already today. And it does not, because here's the thing, it's real simple. If you don't speak English and you don't have any papers on you, that's a clue. Actually, real simple. If you or I go to France, if Domingo Garcia went to France for 3 months, I guarantee he'd have papers on him. So that's the thing here. Also, you talk about you know, illegal and respecting the law. Domingo needs to answer to why he didn't have permission from the Catholic Church to do his rally. He didn't ask them. He ruined 2 quinceañeras and 2 weddings at Cathedral of Guadalupe. He needs to answer to the Asian American community. 10,000 Asians will be at a festival tomorrow. He doesn't care. He's ruined that, and he has decided not to put it off. So talk about respecting the law.
Mr. Domingo, you want to answer that real quick?
Well, actually, the bishop of the Catholic diocese is marching with us, and he's leaving this, the Cathedral Church to march with us, as well as the pastor. Again, you know, this is.
But you did disrupt a couple of quinceañeras, and you did disrupt a couple of other ceremonies that day, right?
And you're disrupting my time. Look, I understand that you're into shock politics and racial division and all that. That's not how we do things here in Texas. You've only been here about a month. Here, the governor of Texas, George W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, and President Obama all say we need to have comprehensive immigration reform. The Bishop of Dallas, the rabbi of the largest Jewish temple, will be marching with us. The imam of the largest mosque temple are marching with us, as well as churches, Methodist, Baptist, all marching with us.
You don't want to talk about those ceremonies you disrupted? You don't want to talk about those right now? We can move on if you don't want to talk about them.
No, I have two questions. First of all, he talks about Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan gave amnesty in 1986, and over 2 times the amount of illegals were actually here. And here we are 24 years later, and guess what? We have the same problem. He wants Ronald Reagan because in another 24 years, we're going to have 40 million illegals here.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to some of those changes.
Talk about lying and stuff like that. Ethnic cleansing. Domingo Garcia said ethnic cleansing, that Arizona's going to leave the ethnic cleansing. That is, I demand an apology from you. That is sick to say that people are going to be murdered in a mass scale like the Balkans. You said that the other day, and that sickens me.
All right, Mr. Garcia, did you actually say that?
We said that the politics of Arizona is a politics of ethnic cleansing in terms of political ethnic cleansing. And if you look at the politics of what's happening in Arizona, it's not very different when you ask people to wear the Star of David to identify themselves and to ask them for their papers when they go across the street, which is what Arizona, in essence, has done. It is one of the worst, harshest laws that has ever been passed since probably Jim Crow laws in the South in the 60s.
All right, let's talk about some of the changes today to this Arizona law. They have to be signed by Governor Brewer before they'll take effect, but we're going to let our audience know about these changes, and then you guys can react to this, okay? The first tweak changes the phrase lawful contact to lawful stop, detention, or arrest. In fact, it makes this law what they call a secondary law, kind of like, you know, some states they use seatbelt laws. Some states you cannot be stopped for not wearing your seatbelt, but you can't be stopped for another violation, and then you'll be tagged with a seatbelt violation too. Mr. Kroc, what do you think about the change?
I think the change is absolutely fine. And here's the thing. You can change everything to appease anything, but Domingo won't rest until he gets all illegals amnesty. Nothing will appease him. And he needs to respond to this because he's not telling the truth. He said there will be, quote, there will be ethnic cleansing in the state of Arizona. Once we have ethnic cleansing like we have in the Balkans, next there will be Oklahoma that has bills pending, and other states could follow. Shame on you for saying ethnic cleansing. That means murder and slaughter of people. That's a shame that the Jewish community, some of the Jewish community are standing by you. Shame on you for that. That's just an outrageous statement.
I think the shame is on you, sir, for having a counter-demonstration. We had 500,000 people in 2006 that marched peacefully, no arrests, no nothing. And yet you have a counter-demonstration where you can have a lot of crazies that are on the far right of this issue, and any violence, any problems that occur tomorrow, that responsibility is going to be in your hands and KLIF's.
Well, Mr. Garcia, I do want to get you to weigh in.
You know what's fascinating about that?
I do want to get, hold on, guys, hold on. Mr. Garcia, I do want to get you to weigh in on that first change to the Arizona law, making it a secondary, is that something that actually appeases you?
Well, to quote Sarah Palin, just because you put lipstick on a pig doesn't make it any better. And this is what this law is: an ugly law. It is un-American, un-Christian, and it needs to be repealed, and it will be repealed sooner or later, either in the court
the next
or on the
proposed
ballot.
change. The next proposed change, and I say proposed because, again, the governor still has to sign this. The word solely from the part of the law that said that race couldn't solely be used in establishing reasonable doubt. That's reasonable doubt that a person was in this country illegally. Now it just says, quote, may not use race, period.
That's right. See, and that's the thing. Domingo, it's not about race. It's about power and control. And that's why Domingo has to come out and lie. Domingo, why do you have to lie and say stuff like ethnic cleansing? And you know, Bill Clinton, Domingo, you're a Democrat. Your wife's a Democrat, and you. Bill Clinton came out and said that Tea Partiers, because of demonizing politicians, are going to be responsible for the next Timothy McVeigh. Well, and he also talked about calling elected officials Nazis. Well, here we have you and people in Detroit. It's a coordinated thing, by the way, saying ethnic cleansing. They're saying it in Detroit, in Arizona, and Domingo's saying it here. They got the talking points. Well, here they are with Nazi. They call her Hitler's daughter. They've got her in a Nazi uniform, and they call her Adolf Brewer. I'm asking you, Domingo, will you denounce what Bill Clinton says will lead to violence, demonizing elected officials, calling them Nazi? Will you denounce calling people Nazis, Domingo?
I agree that we have to tone down the rhetoric on both sides, but I think the far right-wing rhetoric, using racial slurs, ethnic attacks, the fact of the
When have I said anything like that, Domingo? When?
Well, you have a
What have I
reputation of
said?
doing that in Macon, Georgia. You went after blacks, you went after gays. You know, come on, you're just politically grandstanding.
Oh,
You've only been here a
what
month.
station was I on in Macon, Georgia? What station? Because you know so much. What station was it? Go
Okay,
ahead.
Jess, before we get to that,
He
you know what,
doesn't
we're going to
even
come, hey,
know. He
hold
doesn't
on,
know.
hold your fire, guys. We got to go to a break right now. Just hold on. We're going to talk some more about this issue.